Thank you, Mr. President. If you haven't been down to the library, you should take a look at least to the outside. I don't think they want you rummaging around inside, but I did have a tour today, so I can give you a little bit of a feel for what's happening at the library on the inside. If you look at the front, you'll notice that it's considerably more orderly now than it was a month or so ago. We're waiting for the top slab of the marble steps to be put in place to finish up most of that. And there will be some additional interior work done so that when you enter the building from the steps or the ramp, there will be some protection from the weather before you get into the main entrance. On the inside, we have found some tile that's been there since the building was built almost 100 years ago. We're going to try to keep those features as much as possible from the past visible so that when you come in, you'll see what the original intent of the building was as a post office. Some of those features will enhance what we're doing now. The elevator shaft is being finished. Currently, there was no stop at a second floor, which we called the mezzanine. Previously, the mezzanine was not accessible at all unless you were ambulatory. If you were in a wheelchair, you couldn't get there. Now you will be able to get there. There will be meeting rooms on the east end of the building, which are now being placed, and that required some cement to be poured to create a mezzanine floor that will connect what will all be the second floor. We do have limited programming as a result of the cramped nature of what's available. You have to use the back door to get into the building. That's where most of the children's department is, so we've reduced some of the activity in the children's department, but the accessibility is becoming clear. There will probably be some planters in the front when we're ready for that. The building will be fully wired, fully accessible. It will have a new phone system. We'll have a new location for the check-in counter at the desk when you come in that front door, the new front door. There will be 2 restrooms located on the main floor. One of them has been relocated. I mentioned the elevator shaft. That will have several stops now instead of just the 2 stops it had before. And we're currently on time for the construction. We're keeping our fingers crossed, knock on wood. And we're putting in an application just as a backup for an extension to the time that we have to complete this, but we're hopeful that we're not going to need that application. At some point in the future, there will be an open house. We'll give you more information about that, but we're keeping our fingers crossed to hope that everything falls in place as far as the construction. We're very pleased with what's happening so far. Codes has been very good in inspecting the various phases of our activity, and the current one will require them to look at the duct work and the other things that are being done so that we can put in the drop ceiling that's due to go in shortly. I do have on the table here, and I believe all of you counselors have at your place, there will be a bus trip to Gettysburg. If you read the local newspaper, the Mercury, Mike Snyder has been writing a number of historical articles. They usually come out the first Sunday of every month, and they feature people in our town, Pottstown, who have done some unusual things and made a name for themselves. In this particular instance, he's going to focus on Pottstonians who participated in that battle. On the 23rd of October is the actual trip to Gettysburg. It's an all-day trip starting from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. We're expected to come back. There will be an orientation on the 20th to prepare you for the trip. So the 20th is a Thursday evening at 6 o'clock at the library. Mr. Snyder will give you an orientation about the battle, how it's fought, the kinds of weapons they used, and so on. And then that weekend on the 23rd, you'll actually go on the trip. And the $60 that it's charged will give you the round trip transportation, the tour itself, the orientation session, and maps of the battlefield will be included in that price. So if you're interested in going, you can go to the library. I do have a few flyers there, as I've indicated. It should be very interesting. It's going to be focused on people who live in Pottstown. And if you're at all interested in the Civil War or the activities of some of our ancestors, predecessors here in Pottstown, this would be something you might want to consider. So thank you very much.
Thank you.